Hi there, this is Datila with Ringers of Wrestling, bringing the Wrestling Time post show. And for tonight, I will be reviewing both AEW Rampage and Friday Night Smackdown. Alright, so let's kick things off with Rampage. It was a special 2-hour Rampage tonight, and we had a lot of action on tonight's show. But tonight's Rampage kicked off with a no DQ match. It was Sting and Darby Allin versus the House of Black. And Sting and Darby Allin attacked House of Black before the match even started. What I liked about this was that Julia Hart jumped on Sting's back and he was walking around with her on his back for a little while, which I thought was hilarious. And then Darby Allin with that avalanche code red to Brody King, which I thought was pretty cool. Ooh, like there was this one spot where like Brody King like shoved Sting into the table and his head like hit the second table. It cracked it. Oh, I was like, oh my god. Like, yeah, that looked bad. And so like Julia Hart ended up handcuffing Sting inside the ring. And this allowed poor Darby Allin to be double teamed by Buddy Matthews and Brody King. Darby Allin doing a coffin drop from like 10 feet. He climbed the structure. I don't know what it was, but like he climbed, it was like 10 feet in the air near the commentary table. And like Darby Allin and Brody King fell from the stage onto a table. Sting got busted open. And it was so funny because like Sting is sitting there handcuffed and he's just like egging on Buddy Matthews. And so the lights go out, and who comes out? None other than the Great Muta, which is one of Sting's old rivals. And yet he comes out, he stares at Sting, and then he turns around and attacks Buddy Matthews. And he sprays Buddy Matthews with the green mist, who crashes into Julia Hart. Now, there was a table by the ring, and I'm assuming was supposed to happen was Julia Hart was supposed to land onto the table, but she didn't. She landed over the table and landed on the concrete. She hit her head on the concrete. That was a nasty spot. I really hope she's okay. I haven't heard about any injury updates or reports yet, maybe. But oh my god, that was a really nasty fall. It really was. And like, I hope she's okay. I really hope she's okay. But Sting and Darby Allin end up winning this. And honestly, it was a good match. A good way to kick off AEW Rampage. I really enjoyed this match. And so next we had another tag team match. It was Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker versus Hook and Action Bronson. So that's to say, like, Action Bronson rapping his way to the ring, which I thought was really cool. Kind of reminds me of Max Caster's rap. Like, how he always does this diss track at the start before his matches. And, like, the crowd was, like, really asking for Bronson. I really like that he hit that Flushing Queen Stampede. But my favorite spot in this match was actually the finish. So you had Hook doing a red rum to Angelo Parker and Action Bronson doing the red rum to Matt Menard, which I thought was really cool. So Hook and Action Bronson win by double submission, which really cool spot if you ask me. So then we had like Mark Sterling saying how there was a crazy maniac that's been trying to powerbomb him. And so this was leading into Wardlow and Samoa Joe versus Tony Nese and Josh Woods. This was a short match. Samoa Joe and Wardlow won this with the muscle buster to Tony Nese that was done by Samoa Joe. Smart Mark Sterling tried to hit Wardlow with the title, but Wardlow didn't even flinch. And he finally got hit with the powerbomb symphony. Can't say Smart didn't deserve that. He totally deserved that. But now it's like my thing is like I wouldn't mind seeing Wardlow versus Samoa Joe, but I feel like Wardlow's kind of taking a back seat. Like he hasn't really done. I don't want to say he hasn't done much since winning the TNT title, but like I mean he defended against Jade Lethal, but like. It's just a prop now. It seems like it's just there, like, you know, no open challenge, nothing. Like he's doing this whole storyline, but I mean, like I don't know what's wrong. Like the chase to the TNT title was phenomenal, but now it's like they don't know what to do with Wardlow. At least maybe do like an open challenge a week. So the title gets defended, but I feel like everybody does an open challenge. You know? So next we had Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Rey Fenix, and I really thought was kind of cool that they were starting referring to his Jungle Boy Jack Perry now. So it's like maybe he's not going to be Jungle Boy anymore. Now he's just going to be Jack Perry. Who knows? We'll see. So this is actually a phenomenal match. I really, really enjoy this match. Obvious commentary making note that this is the first singles match between Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix, and they faced each other before, but in tag team action. So apparently the code of honor was observed in the middle of the match. That escalera to Jungle Boy, phenomenal. I really like that. Of course, Fenix, being a Latino, attempted the three amigos, but Jungle Boy counted the third one. And Fenix doing the frog splash, it wasn't enough to win. And Jungle Boy Jack Perry was victorious on this match. But it was a really, like I said, really good match. I actually liked it. Great showcase of both Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix. I think each of them had their moments to shine in this match. So phenomenal. So after the end of the match, there's a sign of respect between Rey Fenix and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Guess who comes out though? Christian Cage, even though he's wearing an arm sling, he comes out and he has Luchasaurus attack Jungle Boy. And Luchasaurus is like stomping on Jungle Boy's face. And he says that New York always makes him smile because they're loud and obnoxious. He says they sit down and do nothing. And speaking of bitches, because he calls New York bitches, he says that Jungle Boy jumped him like a coward, and yet Christian still beat him. And he'll never beat Christian, he says. So he basically, once again, brings up Jungle Boy's mom and sister. He says he wishes that they were here witnessing this, and then Luchasaurus chokeslams Jungle Boy. So this feud is not over. And I'm very curious to see that even though Christian Cage is injured, like, how are they going to continue this feud? I honestly think Christian Cage is going to probably have Luchasaurus do all his dirty work for him, because like he says, you may take away his right arm, but you can't take out his right hand, which is Luchasaurus. So I don't know. What's the end game of this? I think Jungle Boy winning would probably be the end result. So we find out that Jericho Appreciation Society is going to have a championship celebration next week on Dynamite. But of course, as we know, weddings, contract signings, and celebrations in wrestling never go as planned. So it looked like, if you guys noticed, last on Dynamite when Chris Jericho won the Ring of Honor World title, Daniel Garcia was the only one who did not look happy. He didn't look happy while everybody else was celebrating. And even in this little backstage segment, like, he tried to tell Chris Jericho something, but Jericho told him to save it. He did not look happy. You guys remember, Daniel Garcia told Chris Jericho he doesn't need to cheat to win. Yet Chris Jericho cheated in his match against Daniel Bryan and cheated on his match with Claudio Castelloni. So here he is. Chris Jericho is cheating, and Daniel Garcia does not like that. So I wonder if on Dynamite, it's the moment that Daniel Garcia finally turns on Chris Jericho. So I'm very, very intrigued by that. Like, I wonder if that's when he turns, or is they going to keep building? Because they've been building that. The hints are there. So, or maybe like Jericho's going to be, no, I feel like Jericho turning on Daniel was too predictable. I feel like Garcia needs to be the one to turn on Jericho. So next we get Eddie Kingston versus Sami Guevara. So I have to say, like, Sami Guevara with that Dragon Ball Z Titantron, inspired in Titantron, pretty cool if you ask me. Like, I actually really like that. So at the start, before the match even starts, Sammy grabs the microphone and he tells Kingston, "I'm sorry, you're a fat piece of, That sets Eddie Kingston off because, like, he immediately goes after Sami Guevara. Of course, Carmella, being at ringside, she tries to swipe at Eddie Kingston's boot. This allows Sami Guevara to hit the running knee to Eddie Kingston. The machine gun chops to Sammy in the corner. And we had 3 spinning back fists to Sammy in a row. And so Eddie Kingston actually ended up winning this match. He won this match. But he had Sammy in kind of like this hold, and he refused to let go. And like security came out. and they had no choice but to override the decision. So, referee Paul Turner overrode the first decision, and Sammy was named winner of this match, and that did not sit well with Eddie Kingston, so he took out the officials. Now, some people can make the argument saying, oh, well, Eddie Kingston should have won this. He needed the win. But this adds to the story. Eddie Kingston's so mad at Sammy Guevara, like he could not control his emotions, and it cost him this match. Technically, he won, but because he couldn't control those emotions, he refused to let go, and got the decision overturned. So, I really liked the storytelling in that. All right, so next we have the TBS Championship match is Diamante with Trina, who I've never heard of, versus Jade Cargill. This was, I want to say, a standard Jade Cargill match. Short match. I didn't think Diamante stood a chance. Come on now. Like, she did not stand a chance at all. Jade picking up her 38th victory. Trina, she dropped Diamante and aligned herself with Jade after she lifted her hand. Jade Cargill match, nobody cared because we all knew she was winning. Yeah, that is true. We all knew she was winning. And like I said, I don't know when Jade's undefeated streak's going to stop. I would assume it at the 50th win because you can't stay undefeated forever. You can't. And maybe Chris Statlander is going to be the one who breaks her undefeated streak. Maybe not. If not Chris Statlander, I can't think of anybody right now, honestly. So it would be interesting to see. Who do you guys think is going to beat Jade Cargill? How many victories do you think Jade Cargill's going to get until she loses? I say 50. 50 the most. And then we'll go from there. Then we had the Golden Ticket Battle Royal. Okay, so Hangman came out. He was the first one. Poor Hangman got attacked by a lot of people. Like, everybody came after Hangman. Like, he wasn't even in the ring and people came after him. So the winner of this match is supposed to get a title opportunity October 18th, which is a special Tuesday edition of AEW Dynamite, and it's in Moxley's hometown, Cincinnati, Ohio. So one of my first spots in this battle royal was when Danhausen cursed Cole Carter, and he attempted to curse QT Marshall, but QT Marshall was not having it. So some of the eliminations: Dante Martin got eliminated, Jake Hager got eliminated, Chuck Taylor got eliminated. My favorite almost elimination was when the battle royal started. I walked out. I didn't even care for it. I was too tired and waiting for a friend. Yeah, I mean, it was a combined total of 4 hours, 2 hours of Dynamite, 2 hours of Rampage, actually 5 hours plus an hour of AEW Dark. I don't blame you for walking out. So like I was saying, so Brian Cage, who we haven't seen in a while, surprised he was in this battle royal, tried to eliminate Dalton Castle. And the boys, they caught Dalton Castle and they saved him from being eliminated. And they threw him back into the ring. The show ended after 12:30 midnight. Dang, that's a long time. I could see why you bounced. And that was so hilarious. Lance Archer eliminated Trent Beretta. Daniel Garcia eliminated Dalton Castle. Butcher and the Blade turn on Private Party. At one point, you can see Matt Hardy hug Private Party. Arush and Johnny Hungry trade elbows, but then he got eliminated. Penta eliminated Archer. So Penta tries to eliminate Jay Lethal, but just like the boys prevented Dalton Castle from being eliminated, Satan Singh prevented Jay Lethal from being eliminated. He caught Jay Lethal, and then Lethal turned around and eliminated Penta. Hangman eliminated Jay Lethal, and then Rush and Hangman ended up being the final two. Now, Hangman nearly got eliminated. Oh my god, I was panicking when both him and Rush were on the ring apron. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna get eliminated. And so there was back and forth chest chops on the ring apron. And Hangman ends up eliminating Rush. So we're gonna have Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley on the special Tuesday edition of AEW Dynamite on October 18th. I'm actually really excited. I cannot wait. And I wonder who's going to win. I know you can honestly say, oh, maybe Moxley's going to win. Thank God I didn't sit for this. It sounds so boring. Really? I'm happy Hangman won. I would like for Hangman to take the title off of Moxley because if you guys recall, like Hangman and MJF were the final two in that battle royal to see who was going to face Chris Jericho for to be inaugural AEW World Champion, and Hangman eliminated MJF. So I don't know what direction they want to go here, but I would not mind if like Hangman would to beat Moxley. Wow, I'm not surprised, page one. Yeah, me neither, especially after all the comments that CM Punk said about Hangman. I think it was kind of like a needed win for Hangman. But needless to say, I'm excited for Moxley versus Hangman. I'm pulling for Hangman, but I wouldn't be surprised if Moxley retains. I mean, they're in his hometown of Cincinnati, so the crowd's probably going to be fully behind Moxley. Let's say that. So that was technically the main event. Because afterwards, we got a lights out match, which is an unsanctioned match. So Ricky Starks, you guys know that there's always a promo for the main event. And Ricky Starks basically tells Hobbs that 4-minute match won't happen again. And that was a career highlight for Powerhouse Hobbs. And that Ricky Starks is going to close the book of Powerhouse Hobbs. Did that Jungle Boy match come out slow on TV? Because it was boring watching it there live. Really? I thought it was actually fun watching it. It was actually pretty fun watching it at home. So I enjoyed it. So like I said, lights out match, Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks. And Ricky Starks had like this really cool entrance video, which I actually really dug. It was him. Like you can see his shadow, and like he was like in this red room, and like absolute. They were saying like absolute. I thought it was really cool. Props to whoever made that video. All right. So like Ricky Starks ends up taking Powerhouse Hobbs off his feet with a clothesline. And you guys know Chris Jericho's on commentary, so like we have Chris Jericho named Powerhouse Hobbs Sports Entertainer of the Week. The crowd was dead throughout the whole Rampage show. Everybody was tired. Yeah, I could imagine. Like, being there for 4 hours. Yeah, I would be tired too. Especially some people have to go to work the next day. So, Powerhouse Hobbs hit not one, but 2 low blows to Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks went spine first onto the edges of the steel chairs. Ow. Powerhouse Hobbs power slamming Ricky Starks onto steel chairs. Now, at one point, they end up on the ramp, and Ricky Starks tries to do a spear, but Hobbs moves and he goes headfirst into a light fixture. So Hobbs rips off that light fixture, and when they make it back into the ring, Ricky Starks actually does manage to do the spears to Hobbs onto a table, and then like Hobbs is like all down and out. So like Ricky pulls the light fixtures, he cracks it over the skull of Powerhouse Hobbs. He hits him with a double underhook and then the Rochambeau, and Ricky Starks is victorious, and it's a much needed win for Ricky Starks after losing in 4 minutes to at All Out. However, because it's a lights out match, it doesn't count. So we entered after 6. The show didn't get going until 7:30. Wow, I would have gotten there at 7. So yeah, so like I said, much needed win for Ricky Starks, but it doesn't count. It doesn't count. And like, where do we go from here? Like, you can say, yeah, Ricky Starks defeated Hobbs, but the victory just doesn't count. So very interested to see how this feud continues. But overall, decent episode of AEW Rampage. I actually really liked it. I didn't care too much for the TBS Championship match. I felt like it was a standard Jade match. So I would give this an 8 out of 10. In total, we sat for 6 hours. Wow. That sounds like pure torture. I'm surprised they didn't make this episode of Rampage live. You would think they would. Rampage to me live there was a 5 out of 10. Wow, interesting. Well, you were there live, so it's different for me and you're watching. All right, so that concludes the Rampage review. Now, let's talk about everybody's favorite Friday night show, Friday Night Smackdown. All right, so tonight's Friday Night Smackdown kicked off with the Bloodline Acknowledgement ceremony. So, of course, you guys know how this goes. The Bloodline comes out. Roman Reigns asks the city that they're in this case, they were in Salt Lake City, Utah, to acknowledge him. Okay? And Hangman was like, Hangman, Paul Heyman was like, what do you call people from Utah? Like, what do you call people from Utah? He was like, Utonians, he said like a whole bunch of names until you call Salt Lake City idiots. Mr. First Ever Smackdown, and of course Bloodline, same mode. Hold on though, I'm not finished. Just wait, it gets better. So like, he started talking about how Drew McIntyre, how people were saying, oh, it was his time, it was his home turf. And Paul Heyman starts to say, with the multiverse, the universe all belongs to Roman Reigns. And he says that Reigns has another bridge to cross. I like that he said that. He put a huge emphasis on that. And then he was talking about how some people like to take credit, and he looks at Sami Zayn. And he says that the reason why Solo was there was because he was sent by the elders of the Samoan dynasty. So who are the elders of the Samoan dynasty? What is it, Rikishi? Is it the Alpha and Sika? Like who exactly? And it said that Solo was sent because Lesnar took out the wise man. And he said that tonight the Usos are in pursuit of immortality. Now, Jimmy Uso guarantees that they will stay tag champs. So they had a match. It was a main event on SmackDown against Brawling Brutes for the undisputed tag titles. So Roman Reigns calls Solo Sikoa forward. And Roman says that the elders might have sent him, but he answers to him and tells Solo to acknowledge him. And then Reigns hugs Solo, and Solo acknowledges Roman Reigns. And so the music starts playing, and you think they're leaving, but guess what happens? Sami Zayn grabs the microphone and orders the music to be cut. He orders the music to be cut. And so he starts talking about how technically he's not blood, but the way that they've taken him in and treated him like family. He wants to publicly acknowledge Roman Reigns. And Reigns tells Sami that he has no idea why he's talking and questions why Sami Zayn has that shirt. And he orders Sami Zayn to take off his shirt and ask him what he wants. And he says that, and Sami is like, is this about last week? And Reigns says, well, let's talk about last week. He disrespected the wise man, and the whole thing with Logan Paul happened. And Roman Reigns ordered Jey Uso to rip off Sami's shirt. And like Jey and Sami Zayn sold this with their expressions. Like you could tell Sami was kind of like sad. Like he was wondering what was the hell was going on. Meanwhile, Jey was just like happy this was happening. And finally Sami Zayn was going to get kicked out. But that's not all that happened. So Reigns tells Sami he never wants Sami to wear that shirt ever again. It's the Bloodline shirt that has like Paul Heyman, the Usos, and Roman on it. And he says that he got him a new one, and it's a black shirt that says Sami Zayn Honorary Us. So he puts it on, and like I said, like they sold this with their expressions. Jey Uso was just like totally like dumbfounded and bewildered that this was happening. That Roman was like giving Sami a shirt that said Honorary Us. And Sami Zayn acknowledges Roman Reigns and hugs him. And like backstage, the Brawling Brutes are watching all this. So it was actually really, this segment started off, the same old. And it was like, oh, whatever. But then when it got to the Sami Zayn part, it was like, it hooked me back in. Like Sami Zayn is so good at what he does. It made this opening segment really, really great. Like honestly, to me, it was a good way to open up SmackDown. So, really, really good. Then we had Liv Morgan versus Lacey Evans. And I don't know what was going on with Lacey Evans, but like she was sporting new attire. She didn't even get entrance music. And she had like this weird green paint right here. We'll take dark green. I thought it was her bangs. I was like, how much that hairspray that the homegirl used to kill to put her bangs like that? Like, she freaking killed the ozone layer, but it was paint. It was like she had it like right here somewhere. So this match was okay. The highlight was actually Lacey Evans going under the ring. She grabbed the broom first, and then she grabbed the kendo stick. She tried to hit Liv Morgan with that kendo stick, but she ducked, and Liv Morgan ended up winning this after she hit the Oblivion. And then she grabbed that kendo stick and started hitting Lacey Evans with it, and then she did the senton to Lacey Evans through a table. So trying to prove that she is extreme. All right. So then we get a backstage segment with Sami Zayn. He's like yelling at like a food vendor because he was asking for a vegan meal. And so Madcap, this match sounds boring. If Lacey has a match, it's a yawn. So Madcap, Moss, and Ricochet come out and say that Sami Zayn has changed. And Sami Zayn says that if you disrespect him, you disrespect the entire bloodline. And then Ricochet was about to say something. He said, everyone knows that Sami Zayn was a certified, but they stopped it there because then Solo Sikoa attacked Madcap, Moss, and Ricochet. And Sammy was like, oh, it's just about to do that. So it's so hilarious. Like, Sammy is so good at what he does. At least Liv put Lacey through the table. Yeah. So like I said, Sammy was so good at what he does. Like, I hate to say this, I really do, but if the plan is to do a War Games match at Survivor Series featuring the Bloodline, I say you keep Sami Zayn in the Bloodline until the War Games match, and then this is a bold prediction, but then you have the Bloodline lose by Sami Zayn being the one to take the pin, and that is how you get Sami Zayn out of the Bloodline. At least that's how I would do it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. So you get a video package about the Usos, about how many teams they mentioned the Heart Foundation, Legion of Doom, the Dudley Boys. Oddly enough, they leave out the Hardys. They don't mention the Hardy Boys at all, which I thought was so hilarious. I guess their duty is still petty. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. War Games is predicting to be Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Isn't it 4-on-4? All right, so then we had the New Day versus Maximum Male Models. Maximum Male Models did not get an entrance for this. What can I say? This match didn't do it for me. Notable thing was at the end, since the New Day did win, Max Dupree was mad. He was yelling at people. He took off his jacket and just like kind of walked away. So maybe a more hints of LA Knight. But no, it was an okay match. Just didn't do it for me. All right, so then we get Braun Strowman versus Otis. Now, I thought they were going to gimmick the ring for this, but I'm so glad they didn't. It's on 4-on-4, but I didn't care who would face him. I would put New Day and the Brawling Brutes in there. That would be cool. So I actually really enjoyed this match, and Braun Strowman versus Otis was not that bad. The crowd was really into it. They were super behind Braun Strowman. That Vader bomb that Otis did from the second rope to Strowman was cool. Again, like, I'm really, really glad they didn't gimmick this ring. I really thought that they were, because I thought Strowman was going to, like, dump Otis and then the ring was going to break, but that didn't happen. You know, they used to always do that, but not this time around, so Braun Strowman is victorious. It made no sense if Braun Strowman would have lost. So we have the Brawling Brutes and a segment backstage to Brawling Brutes. And so they say that the Bloodline will face an uphill battle tonight. And we find out that on the season premiere of SmackDown, we have Gunther versus Sheamus too. And it's going to be a banger after banger after banger. So I'm actually cannot wait for Gunther versus Sheamus too. Gunther versus Sheamus for the first one was amazing. And Sheamus received a standing ovation. So I cannot wait for that. All right. So we have a Drew McIntyre segment. And he basically the whole point of the segment is that he's challenging Karrion Kross to a strap match. So Scarlett comes out, she distracts Drew, and Kross attacks Drew McIntyre from behind Karrion Kross went shoulder first into the ring post, and like Drew McIntyre is just whipping Karrion Kross with like that strap. Then Scoria got in between her and Karrion Kross, got in between Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre, and she threw like this fireball thing at Drew, but it really didn't like work. They're going to milk this Gunter Sheamus feud since that match at Clash of Castle was a 5-star classic. Yes, it was. So like I said, she threw like this fireball thing, but I think it was it didn't. I think it was a fireball, but Fightful Select said that the flash paper segment that did not go as planned, which was this part. They were told that the flash paper was not ready for live TV and didn't work in a moment where it needed to catch enough of someone's face to sell. Hence the awkward little moment there. Word got delivered to Karrion Kross to keep going, and he and Drew improvised the rest of what happened. We were told that the flash paper was actually bought with the team that took the company jet to SmackDown, and it wasn't picked up locally or brought with the prop team. So after that whole little botch, Scarlett hit Drew McIntyre with the low blow, and Karrion Kross locked in the Kross jacket. So I'm assuming that wasn't supposed to happen based on what this report by Fightful Select is saying. It seems like that fireball was probably supposed to knock out Drew, and Karrion Kross in that segment was supposed to be a lot shorter than what it was. But now I see what they were talking about. So we get Dakota Kai versus Raquel Rodriguez. This was kind of like a short, very short like match. Like Shotzi came out and attacked Bayley. You had Dakota Kai with the big boot to the face of Raquel, but even then, like Raquel Rodriguez was victorious. I really don't like the fact that Raquel pinned Dakota Kai. I don't. I don't know why she got pinned, considering that Dakota Kai and Io Sky are the tag champs, and Raquel's a former champ. I didn't like it. This didn't do it for me. And so, in the main event was the Undisputed Tag Team Championship match. It was the Usos versus the Brawling Brutes. It was a good match. At one point, Butch went crashing into the barricade. Sami Zayn attempted to attack Butch. Of course, they're still making their champions lose. Yeah. And like I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I really like that double super kick to jaw Butch that the Usos did. Of course, Butch going after Jade's fingers. Sammy pulling a chair. Sheamus stops him, but then gets attacked by Imperium. So yeah, so Imperium came out and just like attacked Sheamus and the Brawling Brutes. And then the Usos hit the 1D to Butch. And of course, the Usos are victorious in this. It's not a surprise there. I saw that coming. And that is how SmackDown ends. Overall, SmackDown was a pretty decent show. I didn't really care, unfortunately, for the two women's matches. And I didn't care for that Maximum Male Models for this is a New Day match. So unfortunately for that, I'd have to give a 7.5 out of 10. If it wasn't for that Maximum Male Models match, and if the women's matches would have been a little bit better, I probably would have given it an 8 out of 10. Awesome main event. That was the best match of the night. Yeah, it definitely was. But overall, I think both shows were decent. I think Rampage is a little bit better, though. SmackDown was a 7 out of 10, was better than Rampage. Really interesting. All right, I guess that concludes tonight's review. With that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching. I know tonight also it was Impact's Victory Road. For that, I should do my review tomorrow. I still have to watch Victory Road. I'm actually really excited about Victory Road. I heard it was a great show, and I cannot wait. Going forward for Impact, I will probably just cover the pay-per-views and the Impact specials. I don't think I'm going to be reviewing the weekly show on my channel anymore. But Impact what? Oh my god. I'm gonna... You know what? I'm not even going to read your comment. But like I said, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys. I hope to see you guys tomorrow for my Victory Road review. And if not, then I'll see you guys Monday for Monday Night Raw. Bye.